indicate that you have given the permission to record the program, and the recording has just started. First of all, welcome to today's webinar. We are from all over the world, and AuthorAID and ACSRM would like to welcome you. I am Asta Subedi. I'm currently involved as a community administrator at AuthorAID, and we have Dr. Buna Bhandari with us today, who is the facilitator of today's session. First of all, before moving ahead, I would like to introduce you to some of the housekeeping rules. The first one is, I already mentioned that your participation will indicate your consent for recording this webinar, and closed caption are available. So you can click on the CC button below in the taskbar to access the closed caption. And if you have any technical issue, you can email me at asta.subedi@inaps.info. And to reduce the background noise, we'd like to request everybody to mute themselves except the speaker. We'd also like to request you to use the other interactive options in the Zoom. For example, raising your hand, and then whenever you have some questions, you can raise your hand and ask the question and answer, or use the chat box to raise the questions. Yeah, that would be all. And now I would like to move ahead and stop the sharing and introduce. So a little bit about AuthorAID. AuthorAID is a global community of the scholars from around the world. And we host the program as such for the scholar time and again. And we have AuthorAID's steward Buna Bhandari with us today. And this program is designed and launched in collaboration with ACSRM. So talking about Dr. Buna, please wait a minute. So Dr. Buna Bhandari is an assistant professor of epidemiology at Central Department of Public Health, Tribhuvan University, Institute of Medicine, Kathmandu, Nepal. She's also my professor. So she holds a PhD from School of Population Health, the University of New South Wales, Australia. So he's a launch scholar for cardiovascular health program at the Department of Global Health and Population, Harvard TSN School of Public Health, USA. Buna has received multiple grants and awards. Some of them include the Australian Awards, PhD Scholarship, Netherlands Fellowship Awards, a Netherlands Fellowship Program in 2014. She was also awarded as a Research Student Award from the ARC Postgraduate Council and Graduate Research School, UNSW, Australia in 2020 during her PhD. Over the decades, Buna has authored multiple peer-reviewed scientific publications, book chapters, and blog posts. She is involved in the capacity development of young researchers from LMICs in scientific writing through mentoring, facilitating webinars and online courses as a steward and guest facilitator of AuthorAID for more than 6 years, and INAP's associate. In addition, she is contributing in quality publication as a peer reviewer of many scientific journals of public health and mentor at Publins Academy too. And today we'll be handing the floor over to her to give the session about developing a systematic review protocol. So I'd like to hand the floor.
Thank you, Asta, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Let me share my slide first. Is it visible, Asta?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So should I start?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Asta, and thank you, AuthorAID and ACRM for inviting me for this webinar. And she already introduced myself, so I don't need to introduce again. So I'm based in Nepal currently. So good evening. It's around 8 p.m. here. So today we are going to discuss about the systematic review protocol. And this developing a systematic review protocol would take time and energy. So I would say this would be just like the introductory part, because we cannot cover everything in a webinar, but there would be other resources or link so that you can go through after this and then develop your skill on it. So welcome everyone, and let's start. So as all of you know that like the systematic review is a rigorous and organized methods to see
Ma'am, you are muted.
Oh, sorry, how I don't know. Okay. So systematic review involves rigorous process and organized methods so that we can provide some concrete evidence about some particular topic or area of research. So it needs, as we said, it would provide the higher level of evidence in any particular topic. So for that, providing the better evidence, we have to have a very good proposal on it, so that because its purpose is to appraise the study, critically appraise the individual study, which would be included in our review. And as a reviewer, when you publish your review finding or the proposal, you want to have a transparent and replicable methodology as well, so that other people who are doing the research in similar field, they would understand what the reviewer did and how they did it, and it shows the quality of the review as well. So therefore, we need to have a very good proposal. So proposal is the starting point. And meta-analysis is also like sometimes the people get confused about the systematic review and meta-analysis, but meta-analysis is a part of the systematic review, but not in all the systematic review we'll do the meta-analysis. So in meta-analysis, we'll pull the numerical data from the included individual study. So in systematic review, we will not try to pull the information, we'll just summarize, synthesize the information, but in meta-analysis, there will be the other statistical methods we use to derive the conclusion based on our study. So, but remember, you can, in your systematic review, you can go ahead without meta-analysis or with meta-analysis. It's up to your objectives. So what is your objective you are trying to propose? So as I already mentioned, if we see the hierarchy of the evidence, so meta-analysis and systematic reviews comes on the top. But we remember, if your systematic review and meta-analysis does not follow the vigorous process, so I would be very skeptical about the saying this, because sometimes I see some of the reviews, systematic review published, and the methods are not sound or not appropriate. So in that case, we cannot say if by only doing the systematic review, your evidence will be strong. But of course, if you do follow the vigorous methods, quality analysis, and all the process properly, then of course it will provide the higher level of evidence. So when we're saying the higher level of evidence than other studies, it means like our methods should be strong, because we are trying to critically analyze the evidence of lots of other, like it could be the randomized control trial or other study design based on what is your objective and inclusion criteria. So before going to developing the proposal, if you see, this is the flow diagram proposed by the in Cochrane. I took this from the Cochrane handbook. So there are the different steps, like one is the editorial steps and one are what the authors or the reviewer would do side by side. So first of all, you should have some research questions or the topic, then you will plan your review. So during that time, so today we'll be focusing on the planning the review or the protocol development part. So you have to register your title and the protocol, or you can publish your protocol as well. I'll come to that later. And then conducting a review, and then after review also we can update our review after some time, and then publishing the finding as well, and publishing the updated proposal finding. So today we will be focusing on the planning a systematic review, means how we can plan a systematic review, especially what are the steps we should follow during the proposal development of the systematic review and how we can go ahead with this. So in this, I'll be talking about these 4 aspects of the, because it and one more thing is systematic review would take time and energy, and we cannot do the systematic review within 1-2 months. Yeah, if you have the resources, but I mean, following the every steps or having the proper methodology or the sound methodology, sometimes it would compromise. But based on my experience, like I would say almost a year for a systematic review at least. But yeah, I mean, if you have resources, you can do earlier as well. There is no fixed timeline. So for the planning of the systematic review, first of all, before starting the systematic review, we should understand like why you want to do a systematic review in particular topic before developing a proposal. Because I keep on hearing things like the people say that, oh, I want to do a systematic review, but you would not do the systematic review just for the sake of doing the systematic review. There should be some need. I mean, to address this, of course, I understand we want to improve our skill and expertise on that field. We want to learn that thing. That's very good. And we should go ahead with that approach. But even then, try to find the gap in the literature, means what research question you want. Because as I already said, like it would provide a higher level of evidence. So what kind of evidence you want to generate or what is needed in the literature. So that should be identified. Though you want to improve your skill in systematic review and expertise, but you should have a valid reason of doing a systematic review in a particular topic. So that should be the starting point, I would say. And for that, how you go ahead with it means go to the literature, go to the published article of your field, what is your area of interest, and search. First of all, for that, through literature review, you will know the gap in the literature, what area is unaddressed or where the systematic review is needed. And then also it will ensure that there would not be repetition on the topic, because you don't want to do the same things what other people are doing. Yes, of course, I mean, I'm not saying no repetition means not the broad topic, specifically the same objective, same thing, because sometimes what happened, you spend a lot of year, like the energy and time, like a year, and submit your protocol or the finding to a journal, and when the reviewer comes and say, hey, there is a same topic and the same evidence, then what you are proposing new from this review, and you don't want to have those kind of challenges. So first of all, see whether there is same topic, like other people are doing the same review or not already, and also whether there is a need of review or not. And I don't know, there is a mark coming up in my screen. I don't know whether it is from my side or participants. And also one more thing is, though there is no review, but sometimes you should have some studies to be included in your study. So you spend so much of time in the proposal development and all the things, and when you search, and if you do not find any studies which would be included in your study, then at that time you have to stop, because none of the study are available what you want to review. So that's why also, like, just see, like, the play around the literature and see in this different site whether there is already justification or need of review or not. And as I said, if there is already a review or the protocol exists, it doesn't mean you have to stop there. Just see when that review was done. Here, like I said, like the 3 years, but it's not like exactly the 3 years, but it depends on the topic, area, and which research questions you have. So it depends. So done just based on the 3 years. And whether, as I already mentioned, if there is a systematic review, but if it is not high, like methodological sound, high quality, then you can't rely on those findings, because these days, like, there is another field like the predatory journals and the unregulated publication. So some of the system already published systematic review, if I see, I feel like the methodological very compromised. So we can't rely on those findings. So in that case also, you can of course continue and propose your review. And also, like, if there is some methods or specific criteria that can you extend in your review or not, or if there is any gap in the population or intervention or outcome. So then, if there is a review also, then of course you can go ahead and do it, but you should have some justification on that. And if you find some gap or something, okay, then go ahead and start doing a review. So before doing a review, or before having proposal, you should have a team of the researcher or reviewer for the systematic review. So at least two. So I would not say two, because I haven't done any review only with the two reviewer. But why I'm saying two is even methodologically, you have, when doing this screening or full text review, there should be at least two reviewer who is doing independent screening of those studies. So two is minimum. So list of team member based on your objectives should be there. So try to find out, make a team. So though you are an early career researcher, of course you can go ahead and start and try to have in your team the people who have the knowledge about the review methodology. Sometimes you can be a mentee, or sometimes you can be a junior researcher, and your senior researcher or senior colleagues can guide you on the methodology. So it's not like if you haven't done it and then you should not start with it, but you should, in your team, there should be someone or some people to guide the process. And librarian are also very helpful. I would talk about it later as well. So they would be very helpful in deciding, if your librarian are trained in the systematic review for finalizing your search strategies and searching the database, they are very resourceful based on my experience as well. And other methodological expert, like if you are doing the meta-analysis, then because if you are doing some analysis or some reviews, then it doesn't mean like you should have all those expertise on you. Your team can have some team can. So that way you can divide the role. So if you are doing economic analysis, have some economic people, or if you are doing qualitative synthesis, then have those people, and also knowledgeable people expert on that area. Or if you are doing study in HIV, then you would want to have the people who have expertise on that field as well, so, and other related experts. So then after you have time, then start developing a protocol for the systematic review, because as I already mentioned, it would systematic review protocol should outline all the process and methods, like other research. I'm sure like most of you or all of you might have already done some of the primary studies and maybe already done the systematic review as well. So if we have time, then we can discuss it later as well, your experience. So then it will provide a guideline for the review, even to reviewer and to others as well. So before doing any review, starting a systematic review, you should have a proposal, and it will help to communicate among the team member. Among the team member also, there should be, like the discussion about the methods, not only during the proposal writing. Later phase also, there would be some, if there would be any confusion, you would go back and see what you have proposed to do. So it will help to function systematic review process very efficiently. And even the Prisma has already identified this proposal as an essential element for the systematic review. And apart from that, like as I already mentioned, it helps to plan the resources and also the foster the collaboration. If you publish some systematic review in certain fields, some people, if they want to collaborate, they will, try to contact or collaborate with you. And one more thing is, it will facilitate the detection of the selective reporting. Sometimes in your proposal you have something, and if you do not get the finding accordingly, then people try to modify them during the writing the result. So if the protocol is published, then it will also help the reviewer also, like if there is a arbitrary decision is made or not. And of course, as I already mentioned, the unintended duplication of the proposal, like the same study also, it will prevent. So and if your systematic review proposal is not registered these days, good journal, I'm saying about the good journal, they will not accept your paper as well. So for that also, for the registration of the proposal as well, you should have a good proposal beforehand. And okay, then if you have everything like the team and your topic, then how you go ahead with the shape, and then you can start writing your proposal. So just like other research, is background rationale should be there, as I mentioned, like the gap in the literature, so that you can highlight in your this section. And the key research question, I'll go, I don't know how much time we have, but I will try to go through each in brief, and the detailed methodology. So so for the background and rationale of the review, as I already mentioned, if why you want to do the study, like if it is related to intervention, I mean, you can do the systematic review in without and reviewing any intervention as well. But if it is related to how that intervention might work, and what is the gap in the literature, what kind of evidence you want to generate from your review, and why your systematic review is important in this particular time, that is very important. That should be highlighted in your background and rationale section. And then the research questions, just like other usually in the research questions of systematic review will focus on PICO, but there are other format as well. So in means, who are the population of the interest, what are the intervention you are trying to see, what are the outcome of interest, and what study design, or what are the comparison. So it will, your research questions would guide your whole methodology. I mean, your inclusion, exclusion criteria and everything. So that should be reflected in your objectives or the research questions. Then so questions, if it is related to effectiveness of any intervention, sorry, like in our health sector, we usually focus on the intervention, so I'm using these terms or example. If it is not related to intervention also, of course, you can have other kind of objective. So does your systematic review can have, does this intervention work or not? Because sometimes why you want to do the review means, one study find the effectiveness of some vaccine, you can say, and some find not effective. So what is the concrete evidence? Then you want to see from your review whether it is effective or not, and if it works, whom it works, and other question, how that intervention work, or if it is appropriate, safe. So you can have I mean, objective based on the gap in the literature and what is your like the intended to do. So and the comparison. So for example, in this case, if you are doing like, as I mentioned, the PICO already. So if you are doing a study, systematic review among the cancer patients. So first of all, like in population, like who is your study population, what is the intervention you are interested in? For example, here we mentioned like the education, and what are the comparison group, women without cancer, and outcome. What are the outcome in cancer? What do you want to see? Quality of life, survival time, or the other mental health. It can be different, because these will determine your source term and everything. So it should be very clear, and this should be reflected in the while developing the objective also. And there are other more than 25 framework apart from the PICO. So don't only think about the, my objective is not to see the intervention, then can I do a systematic review or not? Yes, of course. So you can go through these links and see like there are framework like PEO, population exposure and outcome. Here we don't talk about the intervention, and other spider, spice, I mean, setting, these eclipse for the mixed method study. So there are lots of other framework you can use to formulate your systematic review question. And after you have this question, usually how we go, based on my experience, you would finalize your question with your research team, and then only you will go ahead with the methods. Actually, like when you have a team, when you have a topic, then finalize the research questions, go back and forth, because there would be some edits or the suggestion, and then go ahead with the methods, like how you can are going to address those questions, or how you can go ahead. So in your methods also, like there should be the clear description about the PICO, because in your objective, there PICO would also only included, but who are the population, in which setting, what are the comparison group, what are the outcome, that should be clearly described or mentioned. And then based on that, clearly specify what are the inclusion and exclusion criteria, because if you do the search in particular topic, then there would be the thousands of articles, like more than 10,000 based on the area, you know. So how you, and you cannot include all those articles, so how you will include the particular studies from those all the available literature. So decide the design, what study design would be included in your study, what are the time period, if there is a time period restriction, language, study area, population age, or the intervention or without the intervention. So all those things will help you to implement your systematic review better. And so there should be specific, usually systematic reviews would have a specific question, so you should also have a specific design, but I'm not sure limit the design. If your study demand, then you can do the mixed method other study as well. And also the outcome. So if the everything is included, but what about the outcome? Because I remember like one of the study we did to see the CVD mortality. So if they reported the incident of the CVD, I mean cardiovascular disease, then that study would be included, though they meet all the other inclusion criteria. And there were other criteria as well. I mean, I will talk more about that study later. Then, and after you have all those inclusion and exclusion criteria, then you would try to develop your search strategy. So plan in your proposal, have plan how you would have like the develop your search strategy, means the what are the key terms, and what are the in your while registering your proposal. Sometime I mean, in Cochrane, you should have all the detailed search strategy, but in Prospero or other database, sometimes you can have the preliminary search strategy, and in final, you should have the detail. So in search strategy, there are some Boolean operator. I mean, if we have to learn about the search strategy, it might take, you know, one like the 1 week or 2 weeks, but try to learn those things in the online. I will provide the link as well. So and or those and all other Boolean operator would be very sensitive in this case. So try to develop those things, how you are going to identify those study based on your search strategies, and see go through the studies, other published studies, and see what are the means medical subject heading and other terms, what are those terms you are using. So search strategies should be very comprehensive, and here your librarian will come in place, because I remember while doing this study, like 2 years, I mean, it took to publish 2 years, but like I think we spent around 6 months finalizing this proposal. And during that time, our librarian, I'm not sure whether you can see or not, like I haven't included her as a co-author, because you should not include everyone who is not contributing based on ICMJ criteria as an author, but you can acknowledge them, but they would help. Like in this case, I had a more meeting with the librarian in the beginning phase to finalize the source term and database, because that is the place which shows your comprehension of the review. So if you go through that paper, like those search strategies are already published in as a supplementary file. This is just one search strategy of the CNL, because every database has the different search strategies, and this asterisk, other Boolean operator, they have the different functions. So try to finalize, like plan in your proposal, like what are the search strategy like you are using, because it will show you the quality of your systematic review. Because if I'm reviewing any systematic review, I would like to see their search strategy. And as I say in the beginning, it should be transparent or replicable, means if another people is using your search strategy, then they should find exactly the same number of paper at that point of time, you know, like, because in the review we usually mention from this period to this period. After that period, maybe the other paper would be published. So that's why your search strategy should be very transparent, and usually journal in any while publication of your paper, the system, this search strategy would also be published, so that other people can go through it, or the your quality of the review also would be determined. And then after you have the search started, then also indicate how you are going to search in the what are the database you are trying to include in your review. So there are multiple database based on the field as well. Like if like I'm in the public health field, so if there is no Medline and PubMed and those things, then we would wonder like why they did not include those database, you know. But if you have the justification, then other in your field, like what are the database people mostly publish, like if PsychoInfo or Scopus, Web of Science. So other like sometime if you do not have access, then that might limit the search as well. So those plan the what are the database you are going to include in your review, then show in your proposal as well. And you should have a search strategy based on your database, because Embase function differently, CNAL function differently, and PubMed Medline function differently. So it's like a C. I mean, people say, okay, doing a systematic, it would cost your time and energy, but of course it would be worthy. And if you follow the process in one systematic review, then later on, with the experience, I would say you will learn all those process as well. Then after you have those plan, then also write your plan about what kind of reference man, because there would be thousands of references after you search in the database, like 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, depend on the area. Then how you plan to export all those the references in all the references in reference managing software, or like the directly to the systematic review software, because I usually use they did like the Covidence, because in the Covidence you will like export all the references, and it will automatically remove the duplication, and the process, the interface is also very easy. But it is a subscription based, so decide which software you are going to use or which database. Like you don't need to have always systematic review software. I mean, you can still do with the EndNote or other Mendeley, other reference Jotero, which is freely available reference management software. And then how you are going to remove duplicate. So indicate all those things in your proposal. Then after that, after you export the references in the reference manager or any software, then also write a plan. Who is going to review those, screen those articles? First, because in the systematic review, first the title and abstract screening would be done, and it should be done independently by the two reviewers. So who is responsible? In your paper, like we usually indicate the name, like the first name or something like that, you know, who was involved. So in your proposal also, like if already decided, you can write those things. And sometime if one reviewer included the article and another reviewer excluded, then there will be the conflict. So who is going to resolve those conflicts? So there the another reviewer can comes in. So that's why I already mentioned in your team there should be the at least like the 4 or 5 people while doing the systematic review. And then same goes to the full text review. So who is going to the full text review? And if you do not find the full text, then what strategy you will use? So those experts should be clearly planned in your proposal. Then it will help during actually implementing the systematic review. And then comes to the, after you have screening and everything, then you will do the data extraction and data analysis. So how after the included, like you have the included study, then how you are going to extract the data, or what data will you extract from those study? So you should have some kind of template. So that plan also you should have in your proposal. And sometimes, and write like whether you are going to pilot the template or not, what are the information you are going to extract from that study, because it will be related to your objective and the outcome, what you want to see. So because when you submit your proposal or your paper, then if any systematic review expert will see, then they will know whether it is done properly or not. I mean, if I see the method and if it's, then I would not like to go to the result or other section, because if there is method is not appropriate or not transparent, then we cannot trust those evidence as well. And then also write your data analysis approach, whether you are trying to do only the descriptive analysis or you are also interested in doing the meta-analysis. And sometime, in systematic review, you would not know whether you can do meta-analysis or not, because it will also depend on the what kind of study you will find, whether you will find the enough study or not. So you can write accordingly. And if you have a plan, then write the process of meta-analysis you are going to follow. And if you have the plan of doing the subgroup analysis, like the gender-based or the age, different based on the age, and those also specify clearly in your data management strategy. And then also very important part is the risk of bias assessment in the systematic review, because all the, though you do your systematic review properly, but if your included study do not have a good quality, then the generated evidence would be compromised. That as a reviewer you should identify. So how you can do that means you have to do the risk of bias assessment of your studies. So there are different tools available based on the design of the study. So if your study is including RCT, then you can use the risk of bias assessment tool available from the Cochrane. And there are other tools like Robbins I for the non-randomized studies, and other Robin E for the non-randomized observational studies. So you can decide which tool is suitable. There are list others I have used, like for the cohort study, this Newcastle Ottawa tool also you can use, and for cross-sectional study, and for mixed methods study, MMAT. I mean, there are list of tools that you can go through the Cochrane website or the JBI site, and they have those tools, and you can plan in your proposal. But in your proposal, you should know which tool you are going to use. Sometime, I mean, it can change, but you can update your proposal then. And after, I mean, there are different templates for systematic review, which I mentioned now, like these are the major aspects you have to consider. But if you are trying to register your proposal in the Prospero, then go through the protocol template of the Prospero, and the Prisma's guideline also you have to follow. And if you are registering in JBI or Cochrane, and see their template, like for example, this Prisma P is a preferred reporting item for systematic review and meta-analysis protocol. So even in your journal, like you have to submit these things. So they have this kind of information, like the title, author's information, if there is any funding source or not, and other like main body, as we mentioned already, background and rational objectives, and in methods, what are the inclusion criteria, and information sources, mean which database you are searching, how you are going to search, what are the design, and what are the process, how you select the study, how you extract the data. So those and risk of bias assessment, it is very important in systematic review. If you do not do the risk of bias assessment, like I mean, in good journal, it cannot be published. Even these days, people are asking for in scoping review, some of the reviewer in scoping review, like there is a flexibility, either you can use ROB or not, but still people prefer those things. So yeah, follow those template. And there are, if you are trying to register protocol in Cochrane, they have the also, I mean, content is same, but they have the different templates. So follow their template and write your proposal accordingly. And after you have a proposal, then you have to register your proposal, I mean, systematic review proposal, to avoid the duplication and to patent your review as well, like I mean, if other people are doing some review, trying to do the review, they will go through the website and see whether there are already people doing the review in the same field or not. So I would suggest starting with the Prospero, because it is easy and less time consuming. Of course, you can aim for the Cochrane and register there, but it would take time, and also there would be the vigorous process for registering. Actually, before writing the proposal, you have to your title should be approved from there. So Cochrane is the standard for the systematic review. So as a new or early career, I think the Prospero is easy way. Even the JBI side, you can register your proposal. So these are the link. I mean, if you go there, there is the instruction how to register the proposal. And after you register your proposal there, and then you can start doing your systematic review. And one more thing, like one is registration of the proposal and one is the publication of the protocol paper. So these are two different things. So you have to compulsory register a proposal of systematic review, that is must, but publication of the protocol paper is optional. But journals, many journals accept the publication of the protocol paper, because it will also, like, one is that it will increase your like the people can go through in, because in while registering there would be the limited space, so all the thing you cannot publish, but in your protocol paper other people can go through it and see the detailed method as well. So it is optional. So if you have time and energy, then you can do the both, or if not, the protocol should always be registered. So I think that is all about the proposal I'm going to focus. So there are some project I would like to share. I mean, just I don't know how much time we have, so just for 1-2 minutes. So this Prospero is this is the Prospero interface. So this is one of the review I have registered there. So after registration, you will get the ID. So in your paper also, like when you submit your protocol or the review paper, you have to provide that number to the journal as well. So that is that would be your identification number. So if you want to see whether the similar review is already being done or not, go through the Prospero and search, use the search button and see. And even the beauty of this site is you can go through their protocol and learn like how they have written their proposal, and you can write your accordingly. I'm not saying the copy pasting or plagiarism, but you can get the ideas and develop your proposal accordingly. And one other aspect is, like, I have written a blog, I think this is 1 year back. It is published in our AuthorAID website. So there also I have provided some link, like how you can go ahead. Sometimes in your particular topic, scoping review would be enough than the systematic review. So so there I have provided some information about it, so you can go through it. And looking at the search term or search strategy, I would say, like, if you want to see in the different, because you might not be interested in the same particular area like cardiovascular disease or mortality, but you can see the methods how we have, because this paper is published in a very good journal, I think around 12 impact factor, and it is in nutrition journal, it is a high rank journal. So they would not publish any paper if there is a methodological compromise. So I would suggest to going through the method and see like what are the aspects we have followed, and there are others paper as well. And in each paper we have provided, like, you can see the team as well, like at least 4 or 5 people are there. And then this is the also paper I have done with my team in Australia, and this paper focus on the unintentional injury. Here we haven't done the meta-analysis, so this is the descriptive analysis only, but there also we try to address some of the gaps, and these are some ongoing projects. So this one is I'm leading this project, and I try to include some of, in our course or curricula, there is not a fixed, systematic review module for the students. So I'll try to include some of the interested student in my review or some of the mentees. So in this project also, even Asta is included. So some of the student, so that's why I'm suggesting if you have anyone in your circle, then you can, though you are not experienced in the review, you can show your interest and they can include you in the team. You would be, team would be benefited, and you also would be benefited. So through that way. And as I said, this second one, the effect of lifestyle intervention, we have just submitted our proposal to the Cochrane, and it took, registering a title took around 6 months. So now protocol, so it would take time. This is I have done many reviews, but this is the first Cochrane review proposal, like they have accepted our title. Now it is under the protocol publication stage. So at first, that's why, like, I also started with the Prospero, and this one I think we we finished the meta-analysis, and this one is like is led by one of my mentee, because through AuthorAID we have in Nepal we run the mentorship program. So one of the mentees, she was interested in doing this thing, and she led this project, and where I also try to include some of my students with them. So one of my bachelor, I don't know they are here or not, bachelor and one of the masters I included with them so that they could learn together. So, and they would have the understanding of the process as well. So through this way, you can start the systematic review, and these are the references. I find the Cochrane handbook is very comprehensive. They have all the details, so you can sometimes, like it would be confusing, but they have some training videos as well. Go through them. JBI also has the comprehensive module, and sometimes if you want to take a course, in Coursera, by the way, in like the thinking about the course in AuthorAID also, we have already developed. I have developed the course, and we are in the process. Maybe next year we'll launch this systematic review course as well. So in Coursera also, this course I find very comprehensive and good. So you can, and if you do not take the certificate, I think it is free. So you can learn there, and some of the libraries like this Duke library also have the good information. So you can go through those resources. And so if you want to get more information, you can contact me. But sorry, like I'm very poor in responding the emails, because it's not like I don't want, but sometimes I find very difficulty in managing my time. But you can message me in the LinkedIn or Twitter as well. And if then, yeah, we can collaborate in future as well. Yes, I think I would stop here now, and let's have some discussion. Thank you so much. Over to you, Asta. Or if there is any questions, anything in the chat box, and I haven't, then yeah.
Yes, Dr. Buna.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's afternoon here. So please, regarding the quality assessment for the study. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you recommend that we should still be using the risk of bias, or we should use the risk of bias tool, ROB2?
You can use the updated tool. I think ROB2 is the updated one, but you can decide like what is the need. And one more thing, like you reminded me. So there is one is risk of bias assessment, and one is the grade. There is a, for the Cochrane, there is a great assessment as well, quality assessment. So, I mean, without seeing your proposal, I can't recommend any tool, but ROB2 is, I think, updated one. Yeah.
Yes.
And if it is randomized control trial, yeah, we cannot use in all the study design if it is randomized control trial. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Omero, go ahead.
Thank you. It was wonderful, Buna. I liked it. But I've got a small question.
Yeah.
Would a student be allowed to conduct a systematic review for the award of the master's or PhD, and who will be in the team?
Sorry, I did not get your question correctly. You mean the PhD student? Or
yes, or
the
master's. Can he do the systematic review for the award of PhD or master's, and who are going to be in the team?
Okay, so because I'm not familiar with the rules of all the universities, but some of the universities, like my university as well, and I'm in touch with the other university from Africa and other LMICs. So in bachelor and undergrad level, they would not recommend or approve only if they do the systematic review during their thesis. But we have allowed them doing the systematic review during the COVID time because the primary data collection was not possible. So please check with your institution or organization what is their policy. And in PhD, usually, and I have seen in other Western university, only the systematic review also counted for the thesis. So that depends on the organization role. And for the PhD, usually only one system, even in Australia, when I was doing PhD, like only one systematic review would not be enough for the PhD degree. So if you do the systematic review, then also other primary or other secondary data analysis can be done. But of course, again, I'm emphasis these things, check the organization rule or university rule. Then only they can advise better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Doc,
Thank you very much.
Doc, can I ask you a question? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I have two questions. One is, what's the difference between systematic review and systematic literature review? That's the question. The other one is search strategy the same thing as search log?
Sorry, the second question, so search strategy should be?
I'm saying is search strategy the same thing as a search log?
Okay, so first of all, the systematic literature review and systematic review is different. Like systematic literature review is like when you do the, I think, narrative review, just reviewing the literature, but you follow it with your objectives, and there is the objective, and you do the narrative review, but following the systematic process. So usually, even the scoping review, they say the systematic scoping. So systematic means like we follow some of the, like the protocol or some, process. So, and the systematic review is, I haven't seen the systematic review called as a systematic literature review, but if there is, like, yeah, I can't comment on that. And for the source strategy and source log, even in systematic review, I haven't used or seen those words, source log. Usually we call it the source strategy. But if anyone is using source log for the systematic review and they are providing the detailed description how they are doing the source, then it's, of course, that is the same thing. But if it is used in different contexts, then yeah, I can't comment on that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
everyone.
Yes, my name is Oscar. Please, my question is, I submitted my protocol to Prospero for about 3 months now. I've not heard anything from them, even though I got an email acknowledging my submission. So should I go ahead and carry up the rest of the data sets, the search, and do my analysis without getting a feedback from them? I'm quite confused.
Thank you, Oscar, and it is very relevant questions, because now in Prospero, because I think you have got that message also, like they say due to the during COVID time also they are prioritizing the other proposal and they would not have time to get back the researcher. But yes, of course, once you register there, the process should be like they would get back to you and you would update the suggestion what they say and then go ahead. But now they have the flexibility, like due to the resources constraint, they advise you can continue with that registration number. But if they come back later and you want to get clarification on something, then you can, of course, submit those revision. But for now, I think after you getting the number, you can go ahead and conduct the review.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, to add to that, I think the most important is to get the registration from Prospero, right? So if you get the registration number, I think that is paramount while doing the systematic review.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, like the registration is must. Previously, the process was like to, they will send, they used to send the comments and then approve the proposal. But now that due to the resources, like, and then, yeah, after getting the number, then you can go ahead and conduct. I don't know who raised the hand before, so you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Everyone.
Yeah. Hello. Sorry, your voice is not audible to me. I think, yeah, I can't hear his voice.
Yeah, it's not just you, me too cannot hear him.
Hello.
Chris Taylor, you can go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. My question is, I would like to know, I think it is very important to search through the literature before search for your question topic. And it is after that I need to develop the protocol to make my systematic review, isn't it? Or am I wrong about it?
If I get your point correctly, like you want to know, like before developing your protocol or deciding the area of research, you have to do the literature search, right? If your question is because as I mentioned before, you want to see whether already there is a gap, or like why you want to do the systematic review in particular topic. You have to justify those things, or you have to have some of the objectives. So for that also you have to do that. And if there is any already repetition, like some people are doing that, then what you are going to add or extend, that also you want to see. And then if you also want to be sure whether you would get the enough study for you, I mean some studies for your review or not. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you are right in that case. Thank you. Tara Prasad, I don't know who raised the hand before, so sorry, like, yeah, please unmute yourself. And
hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, clearly.
Okay, should I talk or another one who is speaking? Okay, I'll continue. Thank you, ma'am, for the presentation. It was very wonderful. Just very eye-catching. Your presentation is, I think, we gain a lot of learnings. I think the systematic review needs a lot of technical things, but I have a general question for you. The question is that how can we know that there is a need of systematic review? One question is that, and another question is how many databases are required for systematic review while reviewing that literature? Is there any rule, or should we go for 2 or 3 databases? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That a very interesting question and very relevant. And of course, that is a challenge, finding the gap whenever I talk with my student as well. And even first, so usually what I suggest is if you do go through the article, I mean, in your particular area, usually in the recommendation or conclusion section, usually researcher would indicate some gap. Okay, so we have done these things, but these things, further area of the further research, the researcher will write by doing the various study, by your experience and other thing also you can identify. But if you are early career and don't know how to go ahead with that, so that is one of the area like I usually suggest or see what are the further area of the research the author has recommended. And one more thing, if you see the systematic review in the particular area as well, always there is in the limitation section, and there like there also the researcher include like, okay, we have done this systematic review within that objective, but this is the beyond our scope. So, or these things need to be explored more, or this evidence is not conclusive. Then you would know those gaps. But of course, reading 1 or 2 articles only would not give you a clear picture of the gap. You have to do the thorough literature search and see whether this needed or not. And with the passage of time, with the experience also, like you would know those things. Like if you are working in some field in the 5-6 years or the 10 years, then you will know, okay, what happened before, what is happening, and what is next. So I think literature search, your experience, and even you can consult, if you are an early career or the student, you can consult your supervisor or the expert of the related field as well. So with all those advice, I think you can identify gap, but it is very difficult. And what was the another question? Oh, number of the database. So number of the database is not fixed, I would say. Like one depend on the how much database you can access, and one is the how much resources you have. But what I would suggest is don't exclude the important database, because if you exclude the important database of your field, then reviewer will, or because we cannot trust the evidence from the systematic review, because you have not included that database. For example, if I am in health, so if you have included in the Medline, then how like the paper published in the midline is included. So, so don't exclude the important database of your field, whatever field you are, but think about the number, depend on your objectives and how much database you can access, and sometimes based on the resources as well, because sometimes like the sum of the study will be repeated from the different databases. So yeah, number is also not fixed, like there is no hard and fast rule. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Dr. Puna.
Hello.
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 Okay.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bunan, for your presentation. I really appreciate it. Okay. I want to know, you have presented Cochrane and Prospero methodology. I don't know if, my question is it applicable for sciences related like mathematics, physics, and so on, or just in medical field or biological field? Thank you.
Okay, your voice was breaking, but if I get your point correctly, you want to know if there is any other specific data for based for the systematic review protocol registration. I mean, Prospero and Cochrane and other, yeah, especially people from like the medical science, social science, other will register there. But I think they would also register the protocol from other field as well. But I have to be, I mean, I have to say, like, I can't comment on that because, yeah, apart from other field, I'm not sure. I have to double check if there are other database. Like there is a OSF, like open. I have provided the link as well. I think they register the protocol from other field as well. But yeah, I'm not sure, 100% sure about that. Thank you.
Sorry.
Good evening.
My question is related to the methodology. The methodology of protocol. Can I use the same methodology in other science, or it is not applicable?
Okay. If it's the methodology, I think this is the same. Methodology is the same for the systematic review. Only your analysis approach could be different, your searching terms would be different, but the method of the systematic review is the same. That I can say. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Buddha. Hello.
Hello. I think, okay, sorry to interrupt you, but Dr. Shumoni wanted to ask before, so let's give her a chance first. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
Sorry, I'll come back to you as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Buna. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's a beautiful presentation. I just want to know one thing. Before registration of the protocol, do we have to go for institutional ethical clearance?
Okay. Okay. Is that only the questions? Okay.
Yeah, that's the only.
Okay, thank you, Simone. So for the systematic review, we don't have to take the ethical approval. So that is one, because ethics approval would be taken for the primary studies. For systematic review and secondary data analysis, you are not going to deal with the particular patient or animals. So because already those approval would be taken by the studies, the primary studies we already conduct. Now you are only going to do the study which is already published. So there is no need of taking the ethics approval for the systematic review.
Okay.
And you can go ahead with the registration and do those things.
Okay. I'm planning for something. I will get in touch with you.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
After developing my protocol. Thank you.
Sure, and don't mind if I do not respond on time because of my time limitation, but I will get back. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ngoni, sorry, I don't know if I pronounce your name. Go ahead. Asta, please guide us. How much time we
thank
have?
you so much, Doc.
Hello,
So my question is, are there any differences between an ERR and systematic review? And if so, how many resources are we supposed to have when you are conducting the systematic review?
Sorry, I did not get your point first. Systematic review, and what was the comparison difference between? What was the point?
Hello, Doc. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. what you wanted to ask, difference between systematic review and what was the other part that I missed? I think I can't hear, so yeah. Okay, Asta, yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, we have already run out of time. It is already 8:53 in Nepal, so it means we have exceeded by almost 10 minutes. So shall we close the session or take a question or two?
Yeah, I'm happy to take one or two, but yeah, I'm fine with your decision. Yeah.
Yeah, let's take one last question and then we can end.
Hello, Dr. Buna.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Bosco Abineza from University of Rwanda. I'm doing environmental health sciences. I'm an undergraduate student. My question is related to doing literature review before starting doing systematic review. And you have said that we have to do review from that phase. Can we do literature from books? If yes, is it possible to import it in analytics software? My question.
Okay, your voice was breaking, but if I get your point correctly, you want to ask like, can you do the review of the hard copies, right? Not the published. Okay, so
no,
in that, sorry.
From books. From books.
Okay. So, it is a tricky question, but if you are doing the scoping review and in books, I mean, we include in policy review, in scoping review, not in systematic review. I would say if we are doing the policy review or other thing, we include the policy document, other published document as well. So that usually follow the scoping review or other review, not the systematic review. Because why? Because books usually in the paper or the published paper has some specific objective. So in the books, if I'm I don't know what would be your objectives, like doing the systematic review of the books, because they have some description methodology or something like that. So if your objectives I think that those gray literature we can still include, but usually in the scoping review, you want to see what are the available evidences on that particular field. So yeah, books, I think I haven't included, so I haven't seen. I mean, why is like our research questions, what we want to see usually in the books, it would publish like every 5 years or 6 years, then the updated information. So I don't know whether those kind of things can be included for generating the evidence. But of course, I don't know until and unless I see your research questions. But books is not at this stage, like I think like in the scoping review or other things, you can use those gray literature as well. Yeah. Thank you. Should
Hello.
I?
Hello. 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 Hello.
Yes, please. Since we have exceeded time, I think we will not be taking the questions anymore. But then again, you can email us. Dr. Buna also shared her email, or at our in-apps email for the discussion, and we'll forward the questions to her. And also ACSRM team is sharing the feedback form. You guys can fill that up, and maybe there is a scope to write the questions. So you can send the questions to us that way. So we have come to the end of the program, and the culture of AuthorAID is such that we take the pictures. So if you are willing to turn on your video, it would be really great. And Fortune has shared the email. So inquiries@acsrm.info. Please send us your question there, and we will take it forward to Dr. Buna. So yeah, seeing the happy faces of people from around the world is really a great thing. Please turn on your video, and we'll be taking the picture, and we'll end the program for today. And on another note, we have tea time with AuthorAID tomorrow. So you can also register for the event. And for that, I think you should follow us on our social media sites here. We are also accepting the blog and articles from everyone. So I have also included the web page link where you can contribute your blog and article. And another is now AuthorAID is trying to incorporate all the resources that we have available in the internet so that people from all over the world can access it. So you can also contribute the resources and give us the link of the resources that you know of. And we are basically active on Twitter, so please follow us there. So now I think we can take the picture.
Cheers.
So yeah,
Cheers,
all of us can smile.
She's
And maybe some fun poses. So I think I'm done taking pictures. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining.
Okay.
Please find us on our social media and join us tomorrow for Tea Time with AuthorAID. We'll be having the discussion on finding impactful research collaborations there. And I'd like to thank Dr. Buna for giving us her time and informative session today. All of us, I think all of us loved it. Thank you so much for that. And please follow our YouTube for the recording of the session. I'd also like to thank ACSRM for collaborating with us and bringing and helping us reach many researchers from everywhere. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.